Hey everybody, welcome back to the show.
All right, it is time, Guard, to bring in our favorite DIY guy and cameraman, John Prentice.
Well, listen, I've been doing a lot more woodworking around the shop, and I'm not saying it's New Yankee Workshop or anything like that, but I refinished a chair, and you know what? Well, this is how it came out. Take a look. Hey there, John here. Today we're going to be refinishing this little chair. It was given to my son by a family friend, and as you can see, it's in need of some love. You can see it has at least 2 different finishes on it. This right here, that's the original finish poking through, which probably wore at some point, and then someone smeared on the rest of this stuff, probably without any prep work whatsoever, and that's why it's yellowing and flaking so badly. We have some similar chairs in our dining room, and I'd like to try to replicate the finish as best I can, and we'll see how that works out. So I'm gonna use this citrus-scented stripper to get whatever these finishes are off of the chair, and don't be afraid to really glob it on there. We're gonna wrap it in plastic according to the directions and let it sit.
Whoa, talk about wrinkles. Now I'm gonna scrape this gook off with enough pressure to get it clean, but not enough to gouge it. The label recommends a plastic scraper, but what can I say? I like to live dangerously. Exposing the wood on the big areas sure is satisfying, but the quality of the finished product is in the details. Try to get as much goop off as you can with putty knives, scuff pads, whatever you can use to get this gunk off. Once clean, wipe the whole thing down with solvent to remove any tackiness. Also spend more money on gloves than I did. The scuff pad and solvent ate 2 pairs.
I think I got all the citrus-scented stripper off of the chair, and it looks like it took most of the finish with it, which is a really good thing. But as the solvent is drying, you can see some glossy spots. That's where the old finish is hanging on. We're gonna take the rest of it off with sandpaper, and that's okay because we have to sand the whole chair anyway to open it up for stain.
So now I'm gonna rough up the surface with some coarse sandpaper, followed by finer stuff. Always sanding with the grain.
Okay, so that's all sanded out, and what I've tried to do is selectively sand to preserve some of the oldness, like shadowiness in these spindly areas here, but I did have to sand the whole seat down to raw wood to get rid of that old finish. It just would not come off. Now I'm gonna put on some stain. I'm gonna try to get it as even as possible and make it look cohesive. We'll see how it goes.
A little bit of compressed air and a final wipe down, and we're ready to stain. You don't necessarily need a heavy coat, but you do want an even coat. Make sure to avoid runs and pooling, unlike me, and keep a rag handy for drips.
Okay, so all of you who have actually done something like this before at home are probably saying, hey, the directions on the side of the can say to leave it all on for the same amount of time and then wipe it off. The trouble is that we started with a really blotchy, uneven surface, so I had to leave some of it on longer, some of it on less, wipe some off, let some dry, and I think it looks pretty even, and we're gonna be ready for our finish. Now, the chairs that I'm copying, they don't have a really lustrous, deep, shiny, plasticky finish on them, and I don't want this one to have that either, so what I'm gonna do is just wax it.
At this point, we could have applied shellac, lacquer, polyurethane, varnish, oil, or a myriad of other finishes, but I think the wax is going to be just right for this job.
Oh, way better than those mineral spirits. That's downright pleasant. Delicious.
And as with most types of finishing work, the quality of the final product depends almost entirely on the quality of the sanding, cleaning, and other prep work, and achieving a good result can take about half or a third of the amount of time as taking a swing at perfection.
Well, if the goal was to create a factory-fresh looking piece of furniture, we failed. Luckily, that wasn't the goal. This is going to blend perfectly with the other antiques in our home. It's still got all the shadows and depth that really shows its age. And best of all, it doesn't have that nasty, flaking, yellowy finish that didn't belong there in the first place. So I'd call this a success, for sure. Thanks for watching.